Well, how you do, cousins? It's Rusty, and it's 2023, and we are ready for a brand new year. Folks, we got some great stuff for you today. We're going to be talking about all the stuff that we're selling in the store right now. We got a bunch, and we got a few things that I was absolutely flabbergasted when I found out the types of prices that these things were commanding. Come on in with us. Let's head into the warehouse. We'll show you a few things, and maybe you'll learn something. What you saw here at the beginning, folks, is this little area here in this area where I have my office, where I've sort of curated some various little items. We've got a variety. This is sort of my 2023 ode to reselling, or ode to the old, you know. Really cool stuff. Everything you're looking at here is up in at least one of our eBay stores or locally for sale. We've got gold rings, we've got pocket watches, we've got brooches, we've got Asian carvings, we've got vintage books galore, pipes, some old spectacles, old lenses. We got clocks, we've got cabinet cards, photographs, etchings, cameras, cufflinks, all these old vintage stick pins, and the list goes on, folks. All this stuff, really old, cool stuff. Chains, we've got brooches, we've got old watches here, old medals, medallions, and just gobs of stuff from yesteryear. To me, looking at this is really, really cool, because it's like, whose hands, how many people did this stuff go through to make its way to here to old Rusty's warehouse? And where's it going? Who's gonna love these things once they get them? It's really fun to kind of go through all of this stuff. And the other kind of fun thing about this, though I've never had success with it in the past, doesn't mean it won't happen, but is the idea of curating a space like this, which you could maybe sell in its entirety. So let's say I threw something like this up on Facebook Marketplace, or maybe Etsy or First Dibs, or some of these old online platforms, and said, I want $15,000 for everything that you're seeing here, and kind of go through and make an inventory and list it. It's not outside the realm of possibility that someone would want this kind of thing, a collector or a reseller. And so this is fun. It's nice. It's aesthetic. I can enjoy the things I have. Once I photograph it, put it up for sale, here it lives until it finds its way out. And I don't do this with everything, obviously. I mean, we got a whole warehouse here, but it's fun to see this stuff. Is there anything here that you know about or you like the look of? Let old Rusty know. You can always shoot us an email at slickwebmedia@gmail.com. We've never really promoted, we never use YouTube to promote selling items specifically, though people do that all the time. But why not? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna shut her down on your, if there's people who want stuff, then shoot. Let us know. Otherwise, we're going to just keep doing business as usual. Just hope you guys enjoy this kind of stuff as much as I do. Folks, throughout the year, we find these all the time. These are just vintage snapback hats. Sometimes they're in brand new, pristine condition. Other times, as you can see by a few of the little kind of the discoloration here, that this has been worn before. But it is a vintage hat, and it is of a sports team, which sell decently. The thing that's great about these hats is you may not make a fortune. There are definitely some that can sell for a lot of money, but whenever the bill is still rigid, it has no breaks in it, which this is a great example of that. When it's of a sports team, it's in relatively good condition. They can sell for decent money. The older, the better for some of those. But what I have here are something that we don't come across all that often at thrift stores, but can sell for decent money, believe it or not, are these vintage. These are essentially like hats that, say, a golfer would wear back in the day. They got this bill, and some of them snap into place like that one. This one is actually sewn in, all right. But they can definitely sell for some good money. This is the Hatterdashery. Instead of a haberdashery, it's the Hatterdashery. Nice little pun there. It's already got something going for it. Gore-Tex fabric. So this is just a plain green hat. This one is obviously a plaid, more of like a Scottish type of a look. And then this one's also the Hatterdashery, a nice little gray, kind of almost like a wool hat here. But these things, believe it or not, can sell for anywhere from $14 to $30, and I only paid basically $1 a piece for each of these hats. Max potential maybe 30, 60, 90, maybe $10, $100 for $4 investment. Not that bad at all. I ran into this lot at an antique store yesterday, believe it or not. I don't usually see this at antique stores, but I took a chance. It was a little pricey, but I think it's going to work out. This is a large tub of various Legos, and you can see this bag is entirely full of instruction manuals for Legos and different block type toys. Not all Lego, but a lot of them are. We got all kinds of stuff in here. We got Marvel men, we got Ninjago, we got Star Wars. It's great. So that's a big one right there. Here's another one that's full. Superheroes. This thing is thick, and believe it or not, even the don't throw away the manuals, because the manuals themselves can carry value if you sell them by themselves. Not a ton, but they can carry value. In here we have somewhere around 40 bagged up items, and as far as I can tell, these are complete. So someone took them out of the box, obviously, played with them, then put them back so they could keep track of them. And that, I cannot tell you how much that helps me. We have these, so what you, oh my goodness. So what you'll have here is a bag, the actual items, and the minifigures. That's key because they bring the most money, the minifigures. And they've got the little thing, so I know the number. This number right here, you look up Lego and that number, it'll tell you what these sets and even the minifigures themselves are selling for. Look at this. We got some individuals. This has got at least 3 minifigures in it. That's awesome. This one right here is the Chima, something like that. 1 and 2, 70009. And we got some different really cool looking minifigures and these, but it's completely sealed, perfect. You can see the minifigures there, and even a couple of those. These things, folks, can sell for gobs of money depending on the ones you got. And this right here is a bag of just simply a little, still sealed bags of like little components that went with, I don't know what sets. I'd have to look up, see if I could find the numbers on those. But this makes my job so much easier. I can essentially pull one of these out. All right, I can search in here. I can look for the number itself. So this is not actually Lego. This is Mega Blocks. Okay, so we got some Mega Blocks in here also, but most of them are Lego. What I can do is I can pull this out. I can look up the numbers. I can spread them out and say complete. And then these are not going to sell for as much as, say, a boxed set. But if it is complete and it has the instructions, it's not going to sell for all that much less. In some cases, you can sell the minifigure itself by itself for just as much as you can sell the whole thing for, which is kind of crazy. But I'm going to get into this today. I'm going to list about 40 of these in the store today. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to put these up for basically $10 a piece on auction, let them run for 7 days, and I think I'll maximize my money that way. Still going through all of this costume jewelry stuff that we got at our large buyout last year. This one is specifically necklaces, I believe, and so again, these are not silver or gold. These are simply costume pieces, but you can see we have a variety of things. This is actually white coral right here. I can tell by looking at it. I don't know if you can see that very well, the striations in that, but so that's a natural substance. A lot of these other ones are simply glass or plastics or possibly even gemstones. This is a very beautiful one. Look at this. See if I can zoom in. You can actually see the, come on now. There we go. Really beautiful kind of beads. It's pretty elegant, that gold tone. it just depends on what we got. Sometimes we sell these in lots, and sometimes we sell these individually. Usually I'm only selling things individually if they have a brand or a nice maker in them, but sometimes when they look elegant or just depending on the needs of the store at any given time as far as cash flow and such, we may sell these individually. Here's a nice beautiful rhinestone one. I need to check this. The danger with these in a large container like this where it was stored is that these stones can fall out, and then they're much less valuable if they are not intact fully. Though there are people who have stones that they can replace, I just assume sell it complete. But we're going to get into this. We sell both costume and fine jewelry all year long, folks. And sometimes we buy it in big lots. Sometimes we buy it piece by piece. But this has been a really good category that sells for us over the last 3 years, and I suspect as well this year. This was a super fun item to find at a thrift store. It says $17.95 up here, but that was the original price. We paid $1 for this. It's the Hiker Supply Sport Rainier and Light pillow. It's inflatable, it says, and you can see that it is still sealed up. It has never been pulled out, never used. I looked this up. This particular supply company, I can't find anything by them. So they are likely a defunct, manufacturer, or perhaps someone else manufactured it and this was just the brand, they rebranded it to sell it. Anyhow, this was at one time sold in a department store, like a hiking outdoor gear store. But anyhow, I couldn't find any like this online, which sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. If no one knows about it or cares, it might be hard to sell it. If yours is the only one, sometimes you can make more money by selling it. But something like this that has not been used, it doesn't matter that it's old. It's in, it's a brand new condition. This is what you'd call NOS, new, old stock. So it's an old item, but it is new in the sense that it has never been used yet. And there's definitely a market for that kind of stuff, especially hiking outdoor gear. I love when I can find lightweight, new things, sealed things, or lightly used items because they sell typically pretty well for us. With a $1 investment, I'll probably make 20 to 30 bucks out of this after selling it on eBay. All right, folks, now it's time for a couple of hot tips from yours truly, Rusty. Rusty's Hot Tips. Just a quick word about this time of year. In January, usually what I'm doing as a part of my business practice is not only am I putting new things up in the store, getting things, trying to get stuff that we have in here in the warehouse that hasn't been listed, but I'm also taking things down out of the store to store and wait until a different season. And what you're looking at here are various costume jewelry, brooches, earrings, and pieces that are Halloween themed right here. Okay, and then over here you're seeing the same thing, but this is all Christmas oriented items. These are things that did not sell, and we are now past the prime season or time to sell these to make max value. And so sure, could I leave them up and just sell them for 20, 30, 50% off? I could, but I don't need to. And so what I'm going to do is I've taken them, I'm going to move them to a different area of the warehouse to store them, and I'm just going to wait until around beginning of September, mid-September. I'm going to pull out the stuff for Halloween, and then right as soon as Halloween ends, beginning in November, I'll pull out the Christmas stuff because that's where you sell it. You'll learn if you get into this more than beyond simply a hobby that certain categories of items sell best right around a certain time of year, around certain holidays, or based on what's going on. So like golf clubs, tennis rackets, stuff like that. Why, you're not selling that as well in December or November, but you will start selling it well in, say, March or April, because warmer weather comes and then people are going to be getting outside. So the outdoor stuff is better in that time period. So this is a good practice. It helps you maximize what you can make on certain items if you know the best time of year to sell them. And you should be aware of that if you otherwise weren't. Sometimes with items, if I'm just finding one at a time here and there, I won't bother myself with listing it right away. I will put it away until I get a variety of other items that are in the same category. Well, Rusty, why would you do that? Well, most of the time I do want to try to make my money back as fast as possible. For example, if I buy a lot of things, I'm going to put up the things that I think would sell the fastest and for the most money first in order to make my money back on my investment as fast as possible. Then the rest of the stuff I can spread out and sell at my leisure and make the most money out of it. But if, say, I find a nice old mechanical pencil or an old ink pen, one of these old clicker pens that has advertising in here, and this one's actually not moving. It should move as you click it. Well, not all of them do. I guess that one doesn't. Let's see, do I have one in here? Here's an example. You can see right here, it says the Carthage Water and Electric in Carthage, Missouri. But if you click this, it's going to change. Go all electric. It's time to change. Anyway, if I find something like this, if I'm going to list, say, 40 items in today, and I have 40 individual items that are all in different categories, the amount of time it's going to take me to do those listings is going to be quite long, because I have to make a new listing for each one. They're all in different categories. I have to change the titles. I have to change the descriptions. Prices will be different all over the map. So what I prefer to do is, let's say I have an ink pen. Instead of putting that up right away, I'll throw it in a little baggie like this. And then over the course of, say, 3 to 6 months, and I have a bunch of these, then what I can do is say, okay, today I'm going to sell ink pens, or I'm going to sell mechanical pencils or pencil and ink pen related items. I will make one listing, and I will make the title describe, in the description describe the item itself. Then I will go in and I will copy that listing, and I'll hit sell similar, and then I'll have already photographed all of these, and I can sell them. I can list them all in sequence. They're all in the same category, and it makes the amount of time it takes me to list these much faster. You're more efficient with your time. And the other advantage of doing that, selling a bunch of similar items at the same time, is you can write in the description, check out our store for similar items. We're selling 100 ink pens this week only at auction with no reserve. And then someone who sees this ink pen is like, well, shoot, I'm going to go check out the store, and maybe they'll buy multiple items. If you offer, say, combined shipping, that's another advantage for your buyer to buy from you, is that they can save money on shipping. And also, if they're going through your store, they're not going to just see these, right? They're going to see everything in your store. And then you might have a new person to follow your store or buy other things simply because you drew them in because of this one item. These items, folks, have been stacking up for months, and it's going to be time. Next week, I've got a few things I got to do to finish out this week, but next week, I'm getting into all of this. What is this? This is what they would call paper ephemera. So we've got some old school magazines, illustrated magazines, and or comic book type things. We've got some old labels of stuff. This is a bunch of stuff from the 1939 Golden Gate International Expo that had come out of a scrapbook ages ago. We got a variety of old 1930s hunting and fishing magazines. These things can carry some really good value. National Sportsman, Outdoor Life. Okay, so we got a bunch of these. And then underneath all of these, well, we got a lot of those. I cannot wait to get those up and see what those go for. Then we're going to get into all of newer, there's a couple newer, but mostly old sheet music, and music kind of like paper goods, essentially. If you go through here, we got a Christmas one. Here we got some Tracy Chapman, so that's newer. Okay, we found that at a thrift store. But we got a variety of other old ones here. This is Swing Your Partner, so some square dancing stuff, feuding and fighting, and a variety of others. So if you go through here, we got all of this music, this old music stuff. And believe it or not, folks, this stuff sells. It doesn't always sell fast, but that's okay. You stick it up there and you just sort of wait. I've got a lot of these, and it just keeps going, folks. Then we get down really far down in here. I'm trying to get to the really, really cool stuff down here. Some of these really old ones, 1901 home journals. What else we got underneath of here? I mean, it just keeps going. I don't know. There's probably 200 plus paper items in here that we need to go through. Goodness gracious, some really cool old music and stuff. I can't wait to get to it. This stuff sells just because it's old, just because it may be in old big band stuff, does not mean it's not valuable. There's definitely a market for it. Do your research. It very much surprised me as I was going through all of the boxes of stuff that we bought at this antique store, or this thrift store rather, recently, to find all of these. What you're looking at here are little misshapen spheres of pyrite, or otherwise known as fool's gold. These right here are tiny marbles made out of clear quartz crystal. These are silver spheres of hematite. Right here are large, kind of medium-sized rose quartz spheres. And then a variety of other things. Right here you have, again, clear quartz that are cut to look like hearts. And a variety of other really awesome stones. This right here is called bloodstone. These gorgeous little spheres, almost like large marbles here. I mean, lots of the same. These are other kind. There's dragon's blood, what they call dragon's blood. Right over here, we've got other ones here. Some more this bloodstone. These are fluorite spheres. Lots of blues and greens. More and more of these. Look at these. They're just gorgeous little items. And several others in here. And so what we did, these came in large bags like this, all right, and we are selling them in some cases 2 at a time, like these smaller fluorite ones, sometimes 1 at a time for some of these larger ones. And so of course we gotta list these all individually, and this takes time. In some cases, like with these, with a quantity like this, what's nice is I can say I'm going to sell either 1 at a time or 10 at a time. I think we're doing 10 at a time on the rose quartz. I'll add up however many I got. I'll divide by the number in per listing. Like if I'm going to do 10, I'll divide by 10, and that tells me how many quantity of 10 that I've got. And so I can make one listing. Let's say I have 300 of these, and I'm going to sell 10 at a time. So I make one listing, and then I put quantity of 30. And so now it seems like I just have one listing, and that's true, but I do have 30 items available in the eBay store, which is nice because I can get a lot of items up with a very little amount of time. The other thing that's really cool, and when we dig down here, I'm going to show you what's next. So we have a variety of some of these old African, what they call trade beads. We've got a couple of lots of those that came in. But the thing that's really interesting, folks, is what I'm about to pull out here. I'm going to show you these. Get 2 or 3 of these out so you can see. Is this collection of beads that had been collected by someone over decades, apparently, from beaches. And so what these are, folks, these are beads that have been tumbled by the ocean. Sometimes green, like that. This one's kind of more of an opaque green. If I dig in here, here's one. Here's some blues. Look at that. And these things had been picked up by someone at a beach or various beaches over a large period of time, and then they end up in a collection. So we're selling these. Now, listen, folks, if you were to break an old bottle, an old green glass bottle, and you throw that out, it wouldn't be worth anything. If you put those shards of glass up on eBay, you wouldn't sell them for even a cent, most likely. But if, say, that thing fell in the ocean, got tumbled over some waves, or if you threw a bead out in the ocean, it got tumbled over some waves over days, weeks, months, years, and then washed up, well, now this thing can sell for anywhere from $5, $10 or more. Now it has value because the ocean has touched it, apparently. And so this is what is shocking to me, is things that seemingly have no value, but they will undergo a particular process, and now all of a sudden they have value. And so if you're not aware, folks, look up sea glass or ocean glass or tumbled bead or things. You're going to find things selling for 10, 20, $50 sometimes for a single bead that someone found on the ocean. Okay, it's just glass, folks. It's not a precious metal. But this is what we did. So what we go through here is we take out each one individually. We take a picture of it laying on its own, take a picture of it holding it up, and then we weigh it on a scale. This one's 11.32 grams. It's an opaque white bead. Where did it come from? Who knows, folks? Where was it even found? It was on a beach somewhere. I don't even know the exact beach. So people have to put a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust in us that, the information we have is accurate, or that we're given them the best information we have. But these things do sell. If you weren't aware, take a look. There's all kinds of things I'm finding every single week, folks, that have value that I didn't know they had before. And that's one of the cool things about this type of business, this type of job, is that you're learning about new things all the time. It keeps you on your toes, and frankly, helps motivate you. And every time you arm yourself with knowledge, every time you go out, you're going to have more things that you can potentially find to sell. This one right here is what they call a tiger iron. Just some really beautiful natural minerals in this lot. All right, now it's time for a game called Can You Name It? Can you name it? Can you name it? Can you name it? Or not? All right, folks, here's a game called Can You Name It? We're going to start off with this right here. So just starting off, taking a look at this, let me zoom in. What does this look like to you? I'm going to give you a moment to take a little survey. I'm going to flip her over here. This is what it looks like on the back. What does this look like to you? Well, first off, if you said that looks like a medal of some kind or an award of some kind, I think that you're right. This little hoop at the top would be what the little piece of fabric would be attached to, with a little pin that would be almost like the pin on the back of a brooch. And then this would hang, it would dangle kind of like a medal. You've seen maybe military stuff like that in the past. On the back here, it says Den 6 Mayors 1844. I looked this up. I think that this is German, but it's certainly a different language. But what this stands for is March 6th, 1844. Now, why would this say March 6th, 1844? I confess I do not know. I've done a research. There are a variety of things, obviously, that happened in 1844 across the world, but I don't know if this is a German medal, if this is European, if this is American. And then if we turn this over, what are we looking at here? Well, if you said, well, Rusty, that looks like it's Masonic to me, you would also be correct. These 3 C's that you see in these triangles, the G at the top, the I shining down, the 3 trees, and even the sickle, and these instruments that were used for mason work and other types of labor are all common within the Freemason Masonic lineage. And so I believe that this is a Masonic medal or award that was awarded in 1844. To whom and for what reason, I do not know. And so partly there, I may have given you information you didn't have, but I'm also in a way asking, does anybody have any ideas on this? Because old Rusty has not figured it out yet. I will say it is made of 10-karat gold, and it's quite heavy. So it has value, gold value, certainly. I mean, I could take it down and scrap it for gold today if I wanted to, but it seems like it would be a shame to ruin such a really cool piece of history. And so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold on to this until I know exactly what I've got, and then I'll figure out who the best buyer is at that time. Next up, we have this little item. I'm going to let you take a look at it really closely here. See this little chain that's attached to it. What does this look like to you? Has anybody ever seen one of these before? Well, I'll tell you that, first off, what's difficult maybe for someone, even if you know what these are, is that this is not entirely 100% complete. There would be a ring attached to the end of this, typically, if it were complete. But let me show you. Do you see this little knob here on this pole? If I slide that thing down with my fingernail, all of a sudden this thing pops open. Whoa! What do we have here? my research, first of all, this is made out of 10 karat gold as well. Okay, so it's an old piece. It has old design. It looks like it's from the 1800s simply by appearance. Now, of course, they recreate things based on items that had a certain look at certain time periods on purpose. But this is, in fact, an authentic vintage or antique, I guess, technically item, because it is over 100 years old. I had to look up because I'd never come across one of these before. And I was delighted to find that what this is it's either like a scarf or like a handkerchief holder. And so this ring could be attached to something on your person, and then this right here, this little clamp would like clamp on and grab onto that handkerchief or that scarf that a woman would be carrying, and this held on to, and it was just a piece of like an item that you would carry around with you to hold on to stuff. Not that much unlike a chain for a pocket watch. It's just holding it on to your body. Really cool thing. But here's the best part about it. Bought this at a Habitat for Humanity restore. It was in a glass case. They didn't know what it was. I paid 75 cents for it. It's 10 karat gold, and some of these can go for $100, $200, believe it or not. So if you've ever seen one of these, or in case you ever come across one that they don't know what it is, you now will know it's definitely worth picking up, especially at that price. Last up here, I have a couple of reasons why I'm showing this particular item. First off, if you're a long-time watcher or subscriber to the show, you will have already seen this in a previous video. If you are not a subscriber or a long-time watcher, hey, listen, no problem. You can go and watch all the videos. They're still there. And if you want to subscribe, go right ahead. If you click the bell icon, you'll be reminded when we put new things out. But you already know that because you watch YouTube. This little item, you can see about how long it is. It's roughly, I'd say, 2.5 feet long. It's covered entirely with leather, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of leather tooling that has occurred on this. All up and down it, interesting designs. You've got stitch work all along one side here, connecting the bottom and the wrapping of the leather all the way up this puppy. You can see these wavy lines here, the stitching all the way up until it terminates at this sort of larger section that is flat on one end. And on this end, you have what appears to be either a cross that's equidistant or an X. And I don't know which it is. The other reason I wanted to show you this, folks, is not so that I can tell you what it is, but so that I can once again say, hey guys, what is this? Because old Rusty has not figured it out. And I've had this for over 3 years. It is the only thing I have ever come across that I have got with the intention of selling, that despite my best efforts to discover what it is, I cannot figure out what it is. No one I've ever shown it to has figured out what it is. We have some ideas, but there's absolutely nothing conclusive about it. So if anybody out there has any idea, please let me know. I would just be overjoyed. In fact, I would do something for, I don't know what I would do, but I would do something for you if you could tell me exactly what this is, because this is a very much a very literal symbol of the fact that Rusty doesn't have all the answers. I don't know it all. I'm still learning myself. But this is a really cool thing. I bought this at a Goodwill for $10. Not knowing what it was, I just assumed I'd research and figure it out, but I haven't yet. I don't know if it's new, made to look old. If it is old, I don't even know what its purpose was. If it was something for just like a ceremony, if this was something to beat on a drum with, I don't know, folks. So if you guys have ideas, please let me know. There's always things to learn. Earlier we were talking about paper ephemera, and man, it just goes on and on. We have so much stuff here. These right here, we've got various letters that also have value with the cancellation and the stamp, not unlike postcards. Speaking of which, here's some postcards. These cards we got not because of the card themselves, but because of the stamps. Some of these stamps are somewhat rare or less common. You can see some of these here. Then below here we got a variety of black and white photographs. various places. These can be sold in lots, of course, or individually. I would say that if they're interested enough to warrant selling them individually, we can do that. But they have to have something going for them. Like in this case, it's a really cool old vehicle with a person standing there modeling. I don't know what model of vehicle that is, but there are people who collect old photographs of certain cars, maybe a car that they have. I really like this one right here. This gentleman, he's just on his way somewhere. We don't know where. But we've got these. And then over here, it just continues. More really cool old photographs here. Boys with tennis rackets and a pennant from some sort of school or club. A gentleman here with an old photo album. Some old little trade cards. These look like a cigarette. Yeah. Maybe something like that. Tobacco. Yeah, these are tobacco cards of ships. Sometimes they can have ones of all kinds of things. Airplanes, trains, ships. We've got die cuts, as you can see. We've got more stamps in here. All these die cuts. If I can move past the die cuts. And then a bunch of, starting off here, we got more color. Some vintage, some newer color postcards. Vintage postcards. And then moving our way back, here's some leather postcards. Yes, they were postcards made out of leather at one point in time. To some other cool old kind of like trick camera work, darkroom work. All the way back to my personal favorite, which are these back here. These real picture postcards. Here's a gentleman just chowing down on some watermelon. It is delicious. Tons of this stuff back here, folks. And some really good ones. Some ones I hand-picked out individually at antique stores and whatnot over time, some natural disaster stuff. But man, it's going to take me a couple of days at least to get through just photographing these accurately, creating those listings. These paper goods, folks, are fantastic because they're small, they're lightweight, they're easy to store. They have good collector bases. They sell for much more money than you would think. And then when it goes time to ship, it's medium mail. So at the most, you're going to be spending around $3.50 to mail one of these. But if you get stamps in bulk like I do, then you can just put them in a tiny little cardboard mailer, put your forever stamps on there, and send them. So if people don't balk at all at paying for medium mail, but then if you have the stamps already, then you're not really having to buy a label. Sure, you don't have tracking on that, but for items that are $10, $15 or less, very, very, very rarely do I ever have anybody say they didn't get it. We make money, and that's how we kind of run it all the time. Always look out for paper ephemera. There can be some terribly valuable stuff when it comes to letters, postcards, little autograph books. If it's got an autograph from a president or somebody famous, those things can sell for oodles. Thank you, folks, for sticking around today. We've got gobs to get through, as you can see, and we're very hopeful for this year. I hope you had wonderful holidays, and I hope you're ready to start this year off with a bunch of hard work and persistence, because it will pay off. All the things you saw here were not luck. They were based, we found these because of our persistence, because we're out there all the time. Definitely there's some, right place, right time stuff, but it isn't luck. The more you learn, if you get out there, you will find these deals and it will pay off for you. That's what this whole channel is about, to equip you with knowledge, so hopefully you can learn a thing or two. We're not perfect and we don't know it all, and we would certainly welcome your advice and help, because we can get stronger if we all work together. Take care, and we'll see you real soon.
Beep, boop, boop,
Let's go make some money. Rusty